I am Channing Tatum in 21 Jump Street. I'm back among young'uns. Hello there and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salve and welcome back to another round of Cuckoo Kwentos. With recent events being what they are, I thought it would be really fun to do another Cuckoo Kwentos video because, drum roll, I went back to college! While everyone else my age is getting their law degree or being a doctor or climbing up the corporate ladder, I am back at university to get my BA. Although it's not something I ever kept a secret and it's something I'm actually very open with, I don't want this video to focus on why I left. My friends, my family, they all know I left because of mental health reasons. I had to undergo an intensive outpatient program, so I decided to focus on fighting one battle at a time. I also know that I'm very privileged to think that way and to think I can take a break from school and that my focus in terms of career or what I want to do in life doesn't necessarily require a college experience. But at the same time, I don't think having that privilege diminishes in any shape or form what I had to go through mental health wise, because that is equally as valid. But this is why I don't want to devote too much of this video on that topic, because you can see I'm already kind of getting the ball rolling and I could go on forever. But I wanted to talk more about like why I decided to go back to college, and then I opened up my social media accounts. I asked like, oh, if you guys have any questions. I got a couple, so I'll try to get through those. I'm really happy and also really nervous. I've never done a Q&A. I also wanted to be chill. I'm sitting on the floor. I've got a drink with a university mug, reppin' school spirit over here. Is it coffee? Is it alcohol? You will never know. Just kidding, it's apple juice. I am a literal child. This is my first semester back in college after almost 4 years, and I decided to enter mid-year, so this spring semester is my first semester back. I hope to be going back to LA this August or this September, depending on when classes start, but they've already announced that they will reopen. Obviously, like, I can't predict the future, especially in the times we live now. I don't know what the process will be in terms of vaccine or moving or quarantining, getting a student visa again. I will cross that bridge when I get to it. So I'm doing remote learning now, but because it's an LA-based university, I do have to deal with the time difference. So a lot of my classes are technically evening classes, but because of the time difference, I wake up at the earliest, 5:30 a.m. But the great part about that is by 11 a.m., all my classes are done and I have the rest of the day to myself. That being said, in like 2 weeks, it's gonna be daylight savings, and that 5:30, my friends, is gonna turn into a 4:30. I'm already dreading it. I am continuing my degree from where I left off, so I'm still a theater major, and because I'm continuing, I only really have 4 semesters before I graduate, which is insane because it's always been, for the longest time, seemed like an impossible dream for me to go back to college. Pre-pandemic, I think I had carved out a pretty cool, satisfying freelance life for me. I did theater and then I could do my own stuff on the side. Even in the middle of the pandemic, started writing for a local newspaper, and that was really cool. So I thought, you know, I'm really set. There's nothing in my mind that I was thinking of that would require me to go back to college. You know, like, I didn't want to become a doctor, that I had to get a degree. I didn't want to be, like, in finance or something. I'm terrible at math, and that's not something I want to do. I like the creative world. I like writing, and I love theater. Thankfully, for either field, you don't really need a degree. It helps in some cases, sure, but those who succeed may or may not have a degree, so I thought that's great. But every couple of months in quarantine, because we have been in quarantine for months, I would stay up like probably once every 3 months thinking about college and coming back to college. LMU is beautiful. I honestly had a blast there my 1 year there, and it was really just right place, wrong time, you know? But it was always like a pipe dream for me, you know? Like, it was something I was like, oh well, that's a fun dream to have, until around November, and it kind of looked like the Philippine quarantine and lockdown wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, and then I had to stop and think, I work in theater. That is literally mass gathering. So even if everyone got vaccinated, how long would it, you know, logically, reasonably be for the Philippine theater industry to come back to where I would be working all the time here? You know what I mean? With 2021 looming, I was like, oh, I don't think I can subsist on just hobbies for this whole entire year. Another reason that I decided to go back to college, and a lot of people might be like, you weak little ish, the thing that had always kept me from going back to college was I didn't want to do a long distance relationship. Yes, I am weak. Honestly, if I'm being honest, the long distance thing didn't just apply to, you know, my boyfriend. I also didn't want to be away from my friends. I didn't want to be away from my family. I am a very family-centric person, and I didn't want to have to leave them again with my mental health. That was something I was like, do I want to risk it? Am I strong enough? And then this pandemic happened, and everyone was forced into a long distance relationship because we couldn't leave our houses. I haven't seen my friends in like a year. What's 4 months of a term and then coming home for the holidays? Which again is coming from a huge place of privilege, and I totally acknowledge that. That was a huge factor, like just thinking about how socially isolated we've all been in this pandemic and realizing that, oh, I could be strong enough to move away from everything I know. So I started talking to my friends and my family, and I was like, I think I want to go back to college. It's gonna be over Zoom, so I don't have to make any big, huge life changes over it. I can just take remote classes, feel it out. I kind of want to try. And they were so happy. My mom, being the emotional woman she is, started crying. So I reached out to the administration people. I asked, how do I go about reapplying? Did the whole shebang thing. And then like a month later, it was so clutch. They were like, okay, we accept your readmission. My mind was blown. I started crying because I will repeat this a million times in this video. I thought that was an impossible dream. And then after that, everything happened so quickly. I literally met with my advisor the morning before winter break. We got my classes sorted, and then I had the entire holiday, like Christmas, New Year's, to just chill. School started January 12th, and then I've been in school ever since. It is spring break now, which is insane that we're already halfway through the semester. The first few days, imagine like a Zoom screen full of faces, and they all know each other, but they don't know you because you joined in mid-semester. That social anxiety kicked in so hard. I was like, what did I do? I made this wrong, impulsive decision to go back to school. I was having a nice life with my booktube and my books and sleeping in and playing Sims. Why did I choose to go back to college? Thankfully, within like the next week or so, I started to mellow out and really enjoy and appreciate my classes. Right now, I am about, on average, 5 years older than my classmates, but also I got that Asian baby face, so I fit right in. A lot look older than me, I kid you not. I'm very optimistic about the rest of the semester, and then I'm just like having a ball right now, honestly. Okay, so like I said earlier, I also opened up my Instagram for a bunch of questions. Let me just whip it out. Also, whenever I say whip it out, don't you guys ever think of that Friends episode where they're talking about Chandler's third nipple? Whip it out, whip it out. The first question here is, how are you coping with online classes? Honestly, I'm really enjoying them. If I had to do another semester, I might not say the same, but knowing that I will most likely only have this one last semester of online classes has been really fun for me. I also think it was just like a good gradual return to college. I kept imagining, oh my god, what if I decided to go back to college in person? Like, that was my decision, and that's where my first class was after 4 years, was in person, moving halfway across the world. It would have been so overwhelming, but now with online classes being what they are, I get to go to class. That was my first day. After it, I could snap out of it, come down, see my family, still be in the room that I've been comfortable in for the last year. It's definitely a more gradual transition into being a college student again, so I think in that way, it's been really effective, for me at least. I know other people don't work well with online classes, but to me, can't really complain. The next question is, does your freelance experience and being older help you navigate your classes better? I think so. If you mess up on an internship or in freelancing, you could cost a big corporation or a big theater company money and they won't like that. If you mess up in school, worst case scenario, you'll get an F. I think freelance, just in terms of time management, especially with a time difference, learning how to manage my own schedule has definitely helped a lot, and especially because we're doing it from the comforts of our own bedroom, where you can nap easily or play Sims easily. So it's definitely helped me become a little bit more disciplined. And now that I've come back to school after so many years away, I can really objectively say, my goodness, I was a terrible student back then. I did not have any semblance of time management. I can see now that even like back in high school, I was definitely the type to like, oh, I have a good memory, I'll get by on my good memory, and not really study that much. That was what I did back then, and I can see that so clearly now. So this came from one of my IG stories on my private account. What are the cool terms these days? We need a cheat sheet. I had a partner for one of my classes. We had to meet over Zoom for a project, and then his email was like, I'm in the Zoom homie G. And I'm like, what? I had up until that point been calling people dude. I thought that was still cool. I don't know if it's still cool. I don't know any cool terms. I think it was sociology or something. We were talking about like cultural understanding or something. One of my classmates was like, yeah, like I'm sure if I said the words Jeffrey Kanye in this class, everybody knows what that means, right? And I had to be like, I'm cool, I'm hip, I'm happening. Yeah, I know what that is. That's, you know, Jeffrey Kanye. So I don't know, I guess that's a cool thing that's happening. It's really kind of like me observing a foreign culture, doubly because they are American and they are younger than me. They are American babies and I am a Filipino grandma. Do you feel closer to your professors or feel like you have an advantage with prof? In one of my classes, I am closer in age to my professor than to my classmates because it's an intro class. So a lot of my classmates are freshmen, aka 17, 18, and my professor is 33, so I'm technically closer to her. For the most part, it really depends on the teacher, but no advantage. The next question I got is, what tools do you use for organization and productivity? Do 15-minute workout videos on YouTube count? Because that's what I've been doing now. I am very low tech. It is a miracle I know how to turn this camera on and edit. I don't really ascribe to any of the productivity apps. I know a lot of people swear by like Notion. I'm sure this is not what you meant when you asked tools for productivity. I have a tiny little notebook with my little name. My best friend gave it to me for Christmas. And then I'll just have like the random checklists. I don't want to show you what's in there because I also have bad handwriting. And then I also have this teeny tiny little whiteboard, and then I'll just have like the weekly schedule written on there. Film Q&A, that's today. Something that I really was determined to do from the very beginning is I didn't download any school material on my phone. My school email, the school server materials for our classes, I have none of that on my phone because I really wanted there to be a line between me time and class time. So all my school things are on this like one computer at one desk, and I don't move it from the desk because that desk is where I study. If I'm not sitting at that desk, I'm me. I'm not student me. I'm just chilling. I can do whatever I want. When it's time to study, I sit at the desk, and to sort of just carve out that space. So I think setting that boundary has also really helped. So the next question is, what have you been enjoying about being back in college so far? I'm having a lot of fun working my brain and getting to learn new things. I've always loved learning. I've just never been a fan of the classroom environment. I have been enjoying getting to do theater again. It's been a year since I've done anything remotely theater related, and I missed it this last year. I was just getting to know the Philippine theater industry, and the pandemic happened. Obviously, I'm not doing all the shows LMU is doing, but I get to do 3 shows for this semester, which is crazy. It's so fun to be back in the world of theater 3 times over for this semester. The last 2 questions are kind of related. How is starting classes now different from starting class back then? And what's the biggest difference from your classmates before and now? Just in terms of I appreciate it more now, because when I first went to college, it was college from high school, from grade school, where I had been in classes almost my entire life, and it became almost routine. And for me choosing to go back, I can sort of appreciate it now more. Like, yes, I chose this. Before, it really felt like, oh, well, I guess I have to go to this class because I have to attend it because I gotta graduate because society says I have to. It's different when it's a choice, you know what I mean? I also think in the 4 years I've been away, I've kind of, this is gonna sound like so cliche and so cheesy, but like, I kind of know who me is a little bit more. Do you know that feeling if you enter a new environment and you just sort of get swept away by all the like culture shock and what everybody says and peer pressure, and you just get swept away, and that's how you form your new identity? I think this time around I kind of have a pretty good sense of who I am now that I'm sticking with it. It's not a bad thing to get swept away, but more it's the difference. Now I'm like, I know who I am a little bit more, just a little. And in terms of the second question was, what's the biggest difference from your classmates before and now? It's kind of sad to say, but I feel like they're more world weary, and I think that just came from, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily their generation or it's just their generation that was affected by the pandemic. They're mature. They look like they've seen stuff. Yeah, it's unfortunately it feels like they've been worn down by the last year of having to do Zoom classes, whereas before everyone was like, Perky, let's do this, woo! That's the biggest difference, and it's an unfortunate difference. What a lovely optimistic note to end on. Always a bad habit I have, and ending on the worst note possible. But yeah, I won't keep you. That about does it. With that lovely, lovely sentiment. I hope you guys liked this episode of Cuckoo Kwentos. You can follow me on my other bookish and now I guess university adventures on my Twitter and Instagram. I'm both at cuckooforbooks. Please subscribe and I will see you guys very soon. Bye guys.